We begin tonight for real with breaking news out of Massachusetts. Big breaking news. A federal judge has ruled that the government's ban on same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. A bombshell. U.S. District Court Judge Joseph L. Toro decided in two separate cases late today that the Defense of Marriage Act violates the fundamental principles of this nation. And with that, the judge made advocates of marriage equality very, very happy. One of the rulings involves 7 gay couples and 3 widowers, all of whom have been married in the state of Massachusetts, and all of whom have been ineligible for the federal benefits that come with being lawfully wed, thanks to the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act. That law required the federal government to ignore, for federal purposes, any marriage that was not between a man and a woman. That means same-sex wedded couples have no access to family health insurance if one works for the government, no Social Security survivor benefits, no joint filing of federal taxes. Now, there are 2 salient things about the rulings. First, Judge Toro granted the plaintiffs what's known as summary judgment. Both sides filed their arguments, and the judge looked at them. He decided he didn't need to hear another word. Judge Toro saying the government's rationale for DOMA, quote, strains credulity, and that, quote, irrational prejudice plainly never constitutes a legitimate government interest. Judge Toro ruled that a key part of DOMA violates the couple's 5th Amendment right to equal protection. That's salient fact number 1. Point number 2, Judge Toro also ruled for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, saying the federal government wrongly forced it to discriminate. Toro writing, quote, the federal government, by enacting and enforcing DOMA, plainly encroaches upon the firmly entrenched province of the state and, in doing so, offends the 10th Amendment. Offends the 10th Amendment. Whoa. Now, the 10th Amendment is the Don't Tread on Me Amendment. The 10th Amendment is to right-wingers what the First Amendment is to the ACLU. The 10th Amendment, that's the one conservatives are using to try to repeal health reform. It's the one the violent fringies use to declare themselves sovereign citizens, not subject to the law of the land. It's Texas Governor Rick Perry's favorite battle cry. And now, today, the 10th Amendment means gay couples are one step closer to being treated equally in this country. Don't tread on them either. Joining me now is the Massachusetts Attorney General Martha Coakley, who filed a lawsuit challenging the Federal Defense of Marriage Act. Attorney General Coakley, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Now, it was exactly 1 year ago today you filed a lawsuit. What does today's ruling mean for the plaintiffs in this case as of tonight?
Well, for the plaintiffs and for Massachusetts, it means that everybody in Massachusetts who's married will be treated the same. That was our argument, of course, on behalf of the Commonwealth, that we didn't want to have to keep 2 sets of books and discriminate against our citizens who, under Massachusetts law, have not that restrictive definition of marriage, but a marriage that says by our Supreme Court since 2004 that same-sex marriage is allowed in Massachusetts. In fact, it's required under our own Constitution, also written by John Adams. And so we're delighted with this ruling because it means now that there's a lot of things we don't have to do. We don't have to keep a separate set of books for federal benefits that come in through the state, and that includes everything from Social Security to medical benefits. Veterans can be treated the same way, and of course for the plaintiffs in the suit, it means that they will be treated now as our opposite sex couples are in Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned this. Talk a little bit more about what the sort of the kind of entire category of those benefits are. I mean, I think that it's easy to lose sight of just the amount of benefits that accrue to married couples. What are we looking at in terms of what that category of things are?
Well, it's a whole range of things, and it includes everything from Social Security to how you file your income tax to what kind of medical benefits you may be entitled. If your spouse is a federal employee, the retirement issues may be very different. And so there's over 1,100 different benefits, ways in which federal law would treat somebody differently here in Massachusetts. And frankly, it is difficult for Massachusetts. It's a burden on Massachusetts to try and keep those 2 sets of books, because for some purposes you're married under our law, other purposes you're not married under the federal law. Judge Toro's decision changed that today.
So this is a decision in federal district court. What is next for the case? Is it reasonable we're going to see an appeal?
That's up to the government. Obviously, it's not our call, but the decision has not been stayed. It's now effective, and it means, obviously, we're going to work with our state agencies and with people in Massachusetts to make sure that we can implement this. But this is now the law in Massachusetts that all married couples will be treated the same for federal and state benefits.
Finally, I want to press you a little bit on something you said today. You said today that it's, quote, unconstitutional for the federal government to decide who is married. That seems to me to open the door to a kind of double-edged sword, right? Because presumably we might want some federal law passed that actually institutes marriage equality, and it seems like that argument